everyone, Miss Laura here with the South Carolina State Museum in Columbia, South Carolina. Today we are making our very own reindeer antlers as part of our series of cool things you can do while you're at home on break. All of these materials are something that are pretty easy to find either at a craft store or your local convenience store, so they're pretty easy to get your hands on. Let's take a look at what you're going to need to make your very own reindeer antlers. These are the materials we are using for our reindeer antlers today. The toughest things to get your hands on are the foam. So this is a really thick craft foam that we got at our local hobby store. You can use a thin one. We have created these antlers with just really simple construction paper, cardstock, and even just computer paper that we colored brown. So you don't have to have the foam. It just looks a little bit better and works a little bit better, but you can certainly use something else. The other thing you're going to need is a headband of some sort. Now this came from our local dollar store. You can find these almost anywhere. The very first time I made one of these when I was in elementary school, I just took one of my old headbands that I didn't like and I took the things off of that to make this. Then you are going to want a couple of craft sticks, and this is because once we start to stick our decorations and materials on the antlers themselves, the antlers can get a little floppy, so we're going to have to stick them up a little bit. I have a pair of scissors so that when we can cut our antlers out. I also have some glue dots over here. These are just little dots of glue, but you can use stick glue or hot glue or anything else that you might have. I just think the glue dots are just a little bit easier for us. And then, of course, we have all these amazing craft supplies. We've got some pipe cleaners that have spun around, some feathers, foam shapes, pom-poms, sequins, and glitter, and, of course, our seasonal holiday bells that everybody loves this time of year. All right, so to get started making our reindeer antlers, the very first thing we have to do is draw some antlers on our paper or foam, whichever one that you have. Now, if you see here, I've already drawn mine. And you can make yours look however you want. If Miss Grace were here, she would probably tell us how to, go around and make some loops over here and there. I actually found a stencil online that I really liked, and I printed it and then I traced it onto my paper because I'm not quite as artistic as Miss Grace is. So that's what I did. So feel free to look online, see if there's some antlers you like that you might want to print and put on the foam. And if not, take your time and use a pencil and draw out whatever antlers you might want. And just make sure that you make the very end of the antler pretty long. You want this part to be really, really long. And the reason for that is because this is going to get folded over your headband. Okay? After you've drawn your antlers out, we're going to go ahead and start to cut them. Now, I like to cut my sheet in half and just work with one antler at a time, like this. So I'm going to create two separate sheets to work with, and I think this is a lot easier to handle and manage. I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm just going to start cutting out my antlers like so. Alrighty, so I have cut out my reindeer antlers at this point. If you'll notice, what I've done here is I've created two little areas with some lines on them. This is to just give myself a reminder to not put any decorations down here. I want to keep this space on the antlers clear from any cool stuff because I'm going to eventually put those around my headband. So these are my two antlers. I'm going to decorate from here and up, and you can flip them over. You can have your antlers going out. You can have your antlers be really far apart and pretty wide if you want to, like this. You can have them upright. You can have them facing in. So whatever you want to do and however you want your antlers to look is fantastic and works for us. So let me first show you how to put your antlers on your headband, and then at the end you can decorate however you want to. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is kind of figure out what position do you want your antlers in. And I think I want mine kind of a little bit out, not too up and down. I want mine a little bit further out. I'm going to put my headband here kind of at the bottom of them. And remember that silver area that I cut out already. So when I fold this over, I don't quite have enough room, so I need to move my headband up a little bit. And then I'm going to try it again. There we go. I want this part of my foam right here to touch the part laying on the table. I want these to meet. and that's just going to help keep them a little bit more rigid. I'm going to go ahead and use my hot glue gun, and I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue here on my antler. So I'm going to pull it over here. You have to forgive us because our thing is over there on that side. So I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue over here. And a little bit over here. And if you are a student, make sure that you have an adult helping you with the hot glue because the operative word here is hot. Hot glue is hot and you can burn yourself with it. You don't have to use hot glue. We do use glue dots every once in a while. But hot glue works really, really well for this kind of activity. But if you don't have it, you can make it work. Okay, so I've got one antler right there, and one of the keys to using hot glue is that you want to make sure you give it time to dry. A lot of people, when they're using hot glue, they just go, doop, done, and they start walking away. But you have to kind of press and give your hot glue time to really dry and solidify and go back to being in a solid state. There we go. I think I've got it. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my other antler and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to kind of position it and see where it's at. And maybe say I did that and I folded it and I'm like, wait a minute, this one's sticking straight up and down and that one's really far to the side. I need to move this over just like that. And now they look pretty much the same. So I'm going to get my antler where I want it. I'm going to take my hot glue. I'm going to put a couple of dots here or there on my antlers. And again, if you're a student, make sure we're using an adult's help if you need to. Be very, very careful. We don't want anyone getting hurt. And I'm going to wrap this bottom part of my antler around. And I'm going to press on it until it dries a little bit and gets more to its solid state. Keep pressing. All right. Now at this point, I have some antlers that stand up pretty well on their own, as you can see. Now they are a little floppy, and because mine are so big and floppy, I need to reinforce them a little bit, which is why we have these two popsicle sticks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use these popsicle sticks to create a brace. I'm going to stick the bottom part here where the actual headband is and the other part to the antler. And it's going to create almost like an A-frame, and it's going to brace that antler and hold it upright. So what I need to do is take a little bit of hot glue and glue it right here at the bottom, just a tiny dot here at the bottom of my headband. I'm going to put my popsicle stick down, and then I'm going to put a little bitty dot underneath the top of my popsicle stick right up here so that it holds onto my reindeer antler. And I'm just going to gently press until that hot glue dries and it cools off and it gets closer to its natural, nice and firm state. Okay, so now that my hot glue is cooled off and dry, it's going to hold that antler up. So as you can see, when I move this around now, this one's flopping around and this one is sticking up very, very well. And you can see how it kind of creates almost like an A-frame onto the antler and holds it up. So let's do the exact same thing on this side. Now, if you've ever used hot glue, you know you get those weird little hot gluey spider webs, which is why some of my stuff is flying around the table. I'm so sorry. But we're going to do the exact same thing on this side. A little hot glue here, a little hot glue there. Hold it gently, let it heat or cool down, and then we will have antlers that are staying in place. All right, so we just hold our stick down until that hot glue cools down. And then once we pick it up, we now have two antlers that aren't moving around anywhere and are pretty stable and pretty cool. At this point, it doesn't really matter if you have your lines or anything showing up on the front, because what you're going to do is take all of these really cool, awesome materials, and you're going to start decorating your antler and making them really, really cool and fun and festive, and they're going to be really, really awesome. I do recommend putting bells on them if you can, because when you walk around, they make a really fun jingling sound. When we do this activity on site with our campers and guests, everyone really enjoys these, and we especially love that we can hear our little reindeer running around throughout the building all day long. It's really, really fun. Please make sure to take pictures and tag us on social media. We would love to see what your reindeer antlers look like and what you've created. We hope you have a super amazing winter break, and we can't wait to see you here soon at the South Carolina State Museum. Thanks. Bye.